I could explain to my parents exactly what all these things would mean, but they would never be able to understand it as well as I did because I grew up with it.
Right.
And even, I mean, this might be going to the blurring of between the two. I could explain to the adult what all these things were. They're like, what is it like? What is a tweet, a repost? They have no concept of what these things are.
Right. Yeah.
They don't really understand,
So
and and because they don't understand that, they have no idea of what the impact in development might be.
You're becoming the instructor,
and that's just now, right? There could be a platform, right? Well, that gets released when your kids are let's say 7. Right? You might know what this platform is, but until 20 to 10 years later, you'll know the true consequence.
Right.
So, I don't know. I wouldn't say it's futile, but, if you might be able to, check one thing off that you have less concern on, but the next thing, it's not inevitable,
But I mean, then we're trying to be good stewards in an ever-evolving world that very quickly outpaces human understanding.
100%. And like Todd was saying, in 10 years, you basically have to predict what would happen linearly for 50 years because so much is happening. If I were to tell, my grandpa, hey, I have a block of glass that could give me all of the information in the world, they'd be like, what are you talking about? I could contact anybody around the world within seconds.
Right.
They wouldn't understand these sort of things, right? And they wouldn't understand like the second or third order consequences.
Yep.
Like because I'm able to contact anybody at any moment, you might always feel at edge, right? Because you feel like you might get a phone call, something with bad news. There's all these things that you don't really think about.
Is there, let me, I just kind of want to shift gears a little bit. Yeah. Is there a TV show out there for kids still, just for kids that just are for kids? Like the adults won't really watch it or anything like that? Like you remember well, maybe you guys don't, I don't know. Sesame Street.
Gumby.
Sesame Teletubbies. I would never watch Teletubbies today. I don't know if parents are those still out there for kids watching? Do parents let their kids watch that, or are kids so past that now that it's just like
I think let's exclude really small kids, right? Because they always have TV that's geared for them.
Right.
I do not let my children watch that. So there is.
What's Cocomelon?
Yeah, right. There's always that stuff. But okay, so I'm going to give you a thought, and I'd like your feedback on it. So 30 years ago, when I was a kid, there was TV made for children that was palatable for adults to consume with them. Right? Think of all the early 90s TV shows. Like there's some adult humor in there, but it's for the kids, right? Well, it's for action figures, right? But a different story. But then now it feels like it's made for adults, palatable for children. And I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing because it becomes this shared fandom.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an example show for an example?
Well, I get what you're saying. So,
any Disney movie, any Pixar movie lately?
Okay, yeah, right. But okay, so I'm going to go back to technology on this. Imagine, I'm just going to bring up one cartoon that I watched as a kid nonstop: Transformers. Yeah. Oh man, that was a thing back then. Yeah. The way they transformed and did everything. No. I watched that cartoon a couple days ago.
Yeah,
the old Transformers cartoon, and I was like, I could never sit through that. I could never sit through an episode because the technology brought it up to where you're like, oh my gosh, they got Optimus Prime transforming, and they how digitally they make him transform and all these moving pieces, and that grabs you as an adult. Right. And maybe it's meant for a kid, but it grabs you as an adult because what you used to see, the cartoons, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, all that stuff is so much. It's a different animation, and you're just like, wow, I wish I had this back when I was a kid, right? So I think it's more about it's more, you're right, palatable for adults, but only because you as an adult saw this
I mean,
weirder version of it.
It could be the case that, I don't know, that people found that if they could make a film or whatever show that's palatable for adults and kids, they were able to, they were more likely to view it because the kid
Bigger
would
audience.
watch it and the adult would watch it, or vice versa. The adult would watch it and the kid would sit there.
Right.
Yep.
And maybe that's just how it happened because, I'm trying to think of
So it's economics driven?
Potentially.
Okay.
I mean, I really don't know. But
that is a good point.
It could be the case that it wasn't saying, okay, we're, there is no gap anymore, but maybe they found that if it wasn't pinpointed to a child,
right,
that they could also have topics that were for an adult, the adult would watch it too, and the child would watch it. And because the adult liked it, they're basically the ones that choosing what's on TV majority of the time.
Yeah.
They're more likely to watch it. Maybe that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Like Bluey, that's a kid's show, but they have like very adult dynamics in there. I know some of the dynamics. I've never seen it, but this is what I've heard. So
I mean, My Little Pony has an adult following too. But
Brony. But I think that might be one thing you could think about, right? Maybe it was, Pixar was, intended for children, but they knew that the topics could be, more adult-like. I don't know.
Okay. Maybe let's take a slight turn here because I want to keep on the fandom topic, but then why is nostalgia so powerful for the adults now? Because look at everything, like you just mentioned a bunch of movies that are just pure nostalgia plays. G.I. Joe, Thundercats, like I think they made a new Thundercats cartoon.
They did.
Or a live action, right? He-Man, I just saw the new trailer for He-Man yesterday, the new He-Man, the 3rd, 5th remake, whatever, right? If everything plays to our nostalgia, then what do our kids have when they grow up? Our nostalgia? Nostalgia V2?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So they're bringing back He-Man and all that stuff, but I think they're doing that because they know, let's say in 30 years from now, nobody makes He-Man again or Transformers or what. Well, I shouldn't say that. What if they don't make He-Man or Thundercats or something like that again? No big deal. I think because I'm 50, I grew up with Thundercats and G.I. Joe and all that stuff. It's still relevant. They still got to play to that audience.
100%.
Right.
I mean, I grew up with Pokemon, and I mean, that's prevalent. ever much so.
Yeah, we'll talk about Pokemon in a little bit.
But I think what nostalgia plays on is sort of the freedom and less responsibility and weight of the world. That it brings you back to a time where you really didn't have any responsibility and you were able to be free and sort of just,
But you were separate from your parents. And that's kind of my point is our kids are getting our nostalgia V2.
Well, I don't know. I might get like some nostalgia from music that I've listened with my parents. That's pretty much it. But like the core, like Pokemon didn't exist with my parents.
Yeah.
These other, shows did not exist with my parents. But I mean, to say that there wasn't any type of nostalgia like that came for V2, like you mentioned,
I don't think it's possible. But it seems so saturated now.
Well, sure. Yeah.
What do the nostalgia part? Or what do you mean?
Yeah, where we share so much with our children that used to be ours. And I'm not saying that's a completely bad thing, but if they have nothing of their own, if there's no transition from the things they used to love to the things they will love, right?